and Jess. Welcome back to
Twin R on It.
Welcome back.
Today we have a different style video.
We do.
We are answering the age-old question of
What came first?
the pattern
Or the yarn?
I'm excited.
Me too.
Are you excited?
I am.
Okay, so we're gonna kind of talk through our kind of tips and tricks and helpful ways to
There you go.
get you to your next project.
Yes.
We are doing this because this is kind of how we work.
Yes.
We've had a couple of people message us and ask us how we find our patterns, how we find our yarn. This is how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we do it.
This is how we do it.
Okay. I kind of had to. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Okay.
All right, let's do this.
We're going to be looking down a lot because we have plenty of notes.
Yes.
We don't want to miss anything.
No.
So if you want to get your pens out, your notebooks out, grab a cup of coffee or tea or my favorite, Coca-Cola, you can, because this is going to be a big one.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, let's do this.
Let's do this.
Okay. So,
how do you go about finding patterns?
yes.
The first and easy way is
Ravelry.
I know. If you can use Ravelry.
Yes.
So a lot of this is going to be kind of Ravelry based, but then a lot of the times it's not.
More Instagram.
Yeah. So
Because whatever you have on Ravelry, you also have on Instagram.
correct. So I like to look through Ravelry's Hot 100.
Mm-hmm.
I like to add, I like to save, I like to queue up.
Mm-hmm.
Anything and everything. They actually have a feature that you can bundle things up. So if you're looking at summer tank tops or summer tees, you can bundle all of those up.
Oh, that's cool.
If you're looking for long sleeve, fall winter sweaters, you can do that. If you're looking for baby knits, you can do that. Sock patterns, you can bundle them all up. When you're ready, you can go through them.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yes.
I'm not really big on Ravelry
No.
since the change, so
I
I don't
know.
really use it all that often.
I know. Also, I will say this. They have done this interesting feature. I don't know how long it's been happening, but I've noticed it not that long ago. That if you do like and save, they actually tailor a feed of patterns for you. So it is like your pattern highlights,
That's cool.
which is I think is neat.
It's like the patterns you wish you had.
Yes. So they're gonna show
Already
you
pre-selected and a highlight for you.
Yes. So
That's cool.
what they're gonna do is any new patterns from any designers that you've liked,
Mm-hmm.
anything that's similar to patterns that you have already liked, are going to be in that highlight.
I need to check
changes
mine.
and it changes weekly.
Ooh.
I've noticed that too.
So there's always something new.
So there's always something new.
Okay.
On that pattern page, they also have the new to Ravelry designers, new to Ravelry patterns. So you can go through and you can like what you like, don't what you don't. It's there for you.
Yeah.
Okay. We also have, through Ravelry, you can friend people, just like on Instagram. So we like to suggest to find knitters and makers, if you're not a knitter and you're a crocheter, that you like,
Mm-hmm.
that they have aesthetics that you like, they have a style that you like.
Yes.
I just think it's easier that way because
Yeah,
they're doing
because-
half the work for you.
Yes, they really are, because you can be like, ooh, I like that. And then you're like, oh, you can either copy it
Mm-hmm.
or you can put your own spin on it, which is
Yep.
always super nice.
Yes. So I'm going to run through a list of people that I do follow on Instagram and Ravelry if I can, and I'll tell you why after I tell you my list.
Okay.
So I really admire Christy Glass Knits,
Mm-hmm.
the Katie Jacks girls, they're always knitting something good, Christina from the Chelsea Yarns,
Yeah.
Yesenia from Yesenia Studios, Samantha from Pearl Interrupted, and Alyssa from Cakewool. Now that's just a couple of people that I follow. I mean, I follow a ton of people on
Yeah.
Instagram, and I friend a lot of people on Ravelry.
So
How about
my
yours?
list, I really like Van Ray Knits.
Vanessa.
I love her so much. She is the style queen.
Everything she knits
is amazing, and it's an aesthetic that I love.
Yes.
That I just wish that I could pull off,
mm-hmm.
because she is like the sun golden goddess, and I freaking love her. I also love Knitting Ruined My Life. I love her aesthetic. I love how playful she is with
mm-hmm.
her knitting. I really like I really like Lock Knits.
Mm-hmm.
She has an awesome highlight of different goth and punk makers.
She also does design some.
Yes, she does. She has this alien molder cowl that I really want to knit,
mm-hmm.
that I just need to like do it. I really like. I love Nancy from Getting Pearly with It. I think she is just. I love how her patterns look so easy. I haven't
mm-hmm.
knitted one yet. I am waiting for one specific one that she was working on. I love how it's always so like easy.
It's just an easy wearable
pattern.
Comfortable.
And I feel like she's beginner friendly,
mm-hmm.
which I really, really like. I also love Disco Stitch. She's
Holly.
Her aesthetic is amazing. It's like super colorful, and like she's like super like blonde.
I will say this.
And amazing.
I will say this. I saw on Instagram that she went to the Barbie truck.
100%.
And I had to go to the Barbie truck because she went to the Barbie truck.
100%.
That's like her aesthetic. It's pink, it's holographic, it is Barbie, it's
bright colors, it's rainbow.
It's amazing.
I love it. Also, I love Cassie from High Five Hand Knits,
who also has her own podcast
called Apothecary Knits. She is awesome. I love her honestly, to be completely honest with you, I'm gonna be like super influencer right now, but like she made me want to knit the sea glass tee, and I'm gonna make one because hers was so beautiful. And I also really love the Time Weaver, Nicole. She designs patterns. She's awesome.
She also has her own podcast on
She
YouTube.
has her own podcast in English and in Spanish. And she's just so freaking cool. And I just love her patterns
mm-hmm.
and what she knits, because it's just like an effortlessly cool,
vibe.
Like lay back vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be that person.
So those are our just small handful of lists.
Yes.
And the reason why I say follow makers that you like
mm-hmm.
On Ravelry and on Instagram is, I say specifically on Ravelry, is because when they like something and they queue it up,
mm-hmm.
you can see it too.
That's true.
So they're doing all of this work
for you.
So they're looking for cables. They're gonna like all their cables. You're gonna be able to see it if you follow them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really see a whole lot of that on Instagram because you can't really see they're saved.
Yeah. But
it is what it is.
Yeah, that is true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say this because I am very much influenced by Jackie Rose
mm-hmm.
and Caitlin Wedikin from Katie Jacks.
Yeah, they
are highly active on Ravelry.
Mm.
So of course I had to friend them. And when I realized that you have a feed
mm-hmm.
that shows you what they're looking for, what they liked, what they've queued up.
Mm-hmm.
So I have found a couple of patterns just because I've seen that they are looking at it.
Yeah.
I noticed that Caitlin did the Like a Bird jacket before she even posted it on Instagram, because you can see when they're casting their projects on.
That is true.
It sounds a little stalkery, and I'm sorry, but I love you guys, and that's just how it is. I mean, it's there, and it's a resource. I use it as a resource because there are designers that I would have never found,
mm-hmm.
or patterns I would have never looked at if it wasn't for that feed, because I'm not looking for that. But when I see it, I'm like, oh no, I really like that.
Yeah, true.
Okay, then how to find designers. Yes. So I did just mention a couple ways through Ravelry that you're going through your friends, these people. But also, if you do find a designer you like, example, Jessie May, when I found her on Instagram and on Ravelry, I became obsessed.
Yes.
Okay.
Same.
I'm just going to grab something right here. This is my most recent finished object. This is my outline tank by Jessie May.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I started following her and realized that she kept tagging this other person who happened to also be a designer.
Yep.
Park Williams. So, this is the Ghost Whisperer tank top.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, the Ghost Whisperer top.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you keep going, you realize that they're all friends with James N. Watts.
Yeah.
So, I would have never found James if it wasn't for Park
Or Jessie.
And I have a couple of his patterns, and I'm obsessed.
Yeah, he does really good work.
They all do really good work.
They all do really good work. Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, and it's just little pockets of designers that are friends that collaborate with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, it's just easy. If you find one, it's similar aesthetics.
Yeah, check their feed.
Check their feeds. Check who they're tagging. Check their feeds. Check who they're tagging. Check
Yeah.
their liked posts.
Yes, check their like posts. Check their hashtags.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I find a lot of people too. Is through hashtags.
You find people. You find yarn dyers. You find
Patterns.
other makers. You find patterns.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean honestly, like even the designers, like they're like, oh, they share like their old patterns. Other people who have test knitted for them, and you know that's another source of people because they pick people who they are different body types and different sizes, which is also really important to us as knitters. To find people that are size inclusive and
it's important. It's like to us, it's important to find those patterns.
Yeah.
People like Petite Knits.
Yes.
I adore their aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
I just recently saw that they are in the same kind of sphere of influence as Lark Bagger.
Yeah.
Again, also slightly different aesthetic, but still that like Nordic vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Woolen Pine.
Yes, we love Woolen Pine. Who actually designed the sea glass tee?
I know, we're obsessed.
Full circle there.
Full circle there. So it's just, I mean, you just kind of
like search those hashtags.
Search those hashtags.
You
Find
know?
those people.
Look at the feed. See who they're tagging.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how we find a lot of different designers that I don't even think I would have found. Watch YouTube podcasts like ours, or not like ours. Whatever, you know what I mean? Like different people have different aesthetics, and they're liking different designers, and it's just nice to see what other people are knitting because then you might want to knit the same thing.
Right. And just like Jess and I, we're totally different people. Our aesthetics are slightly different. We like bright colors. I like pink. She likes more jewel tones.
Yeah.
But you still find those patterns that, people like.
Yeah.
I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to do another quick show and tell.
Yeah.
Again, back to how little things trickle down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was following
the Katie Jax girls.
Well, yeah, but this even kind of started before because this happened. I saw Woolen Pine online, and they were doing their sorrel sweater, their first sorrel, and I became obsessed. I'm like, what is this? This is so cool.
Yeah,
I want one.
I remember the hype was real.
The hype was real.
I also wanted one until Erica knitted it, and I was like, that seems a little complicated. Maybe one day.
So, again, Woolen Pine, I started searching the hashtag.
Yes.
I then found Jackie's Instagram.
Yeah.
At this point, I was still new, had no idea who anybody was.
Yeah.
Fell in love with her sorrel sweater. She had said something about this yarn company that was making a kit for her, and I was obsessed. I'm like, her yellow is life. I want something similar. And I looked down and I found out that it was Cake Wool. Now, if you know, I stan Cake Wool.
Yeah, I love her so much.
And I, on a whim, reached out and asked her if she would consider making me a kit. I now have if you've seen this before, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I knit a sorrel sweater, so woolen pine sweater,
Yep.
and influenced by Jackie from Katie Jack's Knits with yarn from Cake Wool.
Yep.
And it kind of turned out similar to hers, but it's a little bit kind of like grungy, which I like, and it is honestly one of my favorite sweaters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like those little rabbit holes that you kind of follow and find, and you kind of fall down.
100%.
And you find the pattern,
Mm-hmm.
the yarn, the colors.
Yeah, so good.
So good.
So good.
Okay. You also can find patterns through yarn stores.
Yes.
I know, we're like, yarn stores, what?
No, but for real.
But for real.
They have
Samples.
great samples.
Great samples. So when we were in DC, driving to DC, we stopped at the Knot House.
Yes.
And they have some of my favorite patterns on display. They have a whole rack of sweaters.
It was amazing.
They have them on like dress forms. They have them everywhere.
Yeah.
Which I think is really helpful. And they have modern
Yeah.
patterns.
Yeah.
Not
like
that they have to be modern,
like
but
current patterns.
like current patterns. So I was looking through and I just fell in love with the Anthe shawl. And I had Kathy from the Knot House help me find yarn
Mm-hmm.
for the pattern. So finding those samples,
Yes.
finding the right yarn
Mm-hmm.
to make the pattern.
Yes. I mean, yeah. Had it not had words. Again, dang, Cassie. Every time she gets me every time. So her podcast, Apothecary Knits, is doing a knit along with the pressed flower shawl. And I did see it pop up, but it wasn't until like I really like watched her podcast and I was like, no, I really want to make that.
Mm-hmm.
And my inspiration, because I already had this yarn from Junk Yarn. It's super old, you can tell because it's the old label. And I specifically got this for a test knit, but it came a little late for the test knit. So I ended up using this yarn for a sweater for my doctor's daughter. So I still had 2 left. So I knew that I wanted my flowers to be this, right? So then when we went and seeing the pressed flower shawl
In the store.
in real life, I was like, that's it, I'm getting yarn.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up picking this up to go with this so I could make that shawl.
That sample.
Had I not seen it, I don't think I would have been so gung-ho about making it, because it's there's something about seeing a pattern and like feeling it and the weight of it and how it's constructed really influences your color choices.
So that same Anthe shawl, I picked out yarn in a completely different yarn base.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I held the sample in my hand that I realized, no, I have to make it in their store sample
Yeah.
base.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did.
Yeah.
Also, afraid to ask what the people at the yarn store that work there, like their
What they're
sales
working
associates,
on.
what they're working on. Because if I didn't ask, I wouldn't have known that, like, I wouldn't have known about this sweater called the Nightbook.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl was working on this beautiful, stunning sweater in the most gorgeous yarn.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just,
It was so
I
good.
was like, what is that?
Yeah.
What are you making?
Mm-hmm.
Should I buy yarn? And of course she was like, well, yeah.
Right.
And I said, will you help me?
Mm-hmm.
So I bought yarn to make that sweater.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, they would that designer
Would have never been on
would
our
have
radar.
never been on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Unwind. I think she's Unwind. That's her like designer name.
Yeah.
Would have never been on my radar if it wasn't just for me being nosy and asking questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Best way. Best
Yeah,
way.
100%.
Also, I think yarn crawl patterns If we're lucky enough for everything to go open again, if yarn stores are doing like yarn crawls or open houses, that kind of stuff, usually they have either a designer design a pattern, or they have special kits for the yarn crawl.
Yep.
And all of those are different ways to get patterns.
Or even like local yarn shop day.
Yeah.
Different companies make kits specifically for a pattern, you know, that they premiere for that local yarn shop.
We also the easiest way. Look at the paper patterns that your yarn store has.
100%. Had I not, I don't think I would have made the Weekender.
Right.
Because I was just not about that life.
Well, not only that, but they also have different, like, yarn company.
Oh, yeah. Specific patterns. That's true, too.
That aren't usually on Ravelry. So, Barocco has a bunch of patterns.
That's true.
That you can use.
Yeah.
That they will do. A lot of the times, what is it? Wool Addicts. Wool Addicts. They have a bunch of patterns
for their yarn.
For their yarn. Stuff that isn't out that you have to get through
the local yarn shop.
Local yarn store.
That's true too. Also, different knitting books. Those have amazing patterns in them, like the Loopy Mango one, or even the what's the other one I got you? The Loopy Mango, and did I just get you the Loopy Mango one? Okay. But there was two that came out at the same time. Oh, the We Are Knitters one. That's the other one I was thinking of. They finally came out with the book, and it was amazing.
With all the patterns.
With amazing patterns that you normally can't get. Sign up for their newsletters because they always give out free patterns.
What else?
I'm like
even your knitting periodical, so Vogue Knitting, Pom Pom, Lina.
Yeah.
Those kinds of publications also have fantastic patterns.
Truth.
Fantastic patterns, fantastic dyers, fantastic designers. They will give you like little tidbits on different people, different profiles.
Yep.
And it's just really nice to kind of put a name to the face, and then you can follow them on Instagram, see when their yarn updates are, see when they're releasing new patterns, all of that stuff.
If they have testing calls.
Yes.
So, yeah. It's all good. All of this stuff is like, so good.
Right?
Yeah.
We just love all the things.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe you found a pattern that you love. What about the yarn?
What about the yarn? Oh, yeah. How do you find patterns around the yarn that you have?
That was funny.
What?
How do you find patterns around the yarn that you have?
I don't know. Well, we're going to find out together.
So sometimes you kind of you already have stuff in your stash. How do you find patterns for that?
I have no clue.
So, again,
I just hope for the best, to be honest.
Sometimes you do, but also, Ravelry.
That is true.
I keep saying Ravelry, and if you can't use it, I'm so sorry. But if you can, use the advanced search tools. You can put the amount of yardage.
Yes. The type of yarn.
The type of weight of yarn. And you can even do just like if you have 1 or 2 colors that you want to use.
Yeah.
And it'll filter everything and give you what you can do.
Yes.
Which is...
I have used that every once in a while. But like I said, it's been a hot minute since they changed.
Also, you can type in the brand.
Oh, yeah.
Erica
was showing me this before we started recording. I was like, I didn't even know that could do that.
So I'm just going to say like cat sandwich trusty sock.
Yeah.
You can type in cat sandwich and hit search, and it'll have all of the types of yarn that like the bases she has. You can click that specific and it'll show everything that people have used for it. You can also type in the yarn company and it'll tell you different patterns that designers have used that yarn for, which I think is neat.
That was really cool. That blew my mind today. But, all right.
Okay.
All right, so then how do you find yarn? You have this perfect pattern. And now, first place I always go to is my local yarn shop. Why? Because the owners are always there to help you.
Yes.
They will steer you in the right direction.
Yes.
And they'll give you options, which is always super great.
Yeah.
That's what I always love about going to a local yarn shop. And different yarn shops have different indie dyers,
which is nice. So
don't be afraid to like
shop around.
Yes.
I know that this probably is redundant if you've been a knitter for a while, but when we were newer knitters, we had no idea.
Yeah, for real.
Like, no clue. Like,
No.
we thought one yarn store would have the same things everywhere and realized, no, silly, it doesn't work that way. Even if they carry the same thing, they're going to have different inventory.
That is
because
true.
the person ordering is going to order what their demographic likes.
Very true. Very true. That's just how the cookie crumbles, people.
How do you find dyers on your own?
Yes, how do you find dyers on your own?
Well,
we love Instagram.
It's so easy.
Honestly, hashtags. The indie dyer hashtag, the hand dyed hashtag, always comes in clutch for me. Different, like, your knitfluencer friends, your friends that also knit, they're also, they're also excited about the different yarn that they're using for different projects. So they'll share, they'll tag. Yeah, that's how I mean, honestly, that's how we found A Wandering Flock. That's how we found Cake Wool. That's how we found Fashion School Dropout. Junk Yarn.
Spin Cycle.
It's crazy.
Junk Yarn. Primrose.
Yeah,
that's how we found La Bien-Aimée. That's how we found Sprinkled Fibers.
Yep.
Because
a lot of these indie dyers either have their own website or they're just straight up on Instagram,
which is awesome.
So
what else?
Oh, also you can find indie dyers through designers.
Yes.
Most recently,
Lola Bean
just did a collaboration with
Boho Chic.
Yes.
For this Boho Chic sweater.
That's gorgeous.
I mean, what's nice about this whole thing is that one cannot exist without the other.
That is very true.
So, really, what did come first?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, even like the disco stitch.
Yes.
She designed this Love Witch sweater. She collaborated specifically with 2 different yarn dyers. One for the big bell sleeve that Erica did, and this one is Spectrum Fibers. I don't know the color name.
Love Witch.
Oh, Love Witch, Jess. And then she has another sweater. Smaller sleeve, and she collaborated with a yarn less traveled. And those are 2 different yarn dyers that I would have never known had I not seen that sweater.
Right.
Also, through fiber festivals. Like the Allentown Festival, everything was virtual. They have those lists of all of the dyers that are going to be there. So we always like to scope it out first before we decide to like tune in for like their
or even if you can't make it.
Yeah.
That list is there. They have their online stores.
That is true.
Vogue Knitting Live. They'll tell you who's going to be there.
Yep.
If you can't make it, they'll tell you online. Like, you can always shop them online.
That is true. Yep. And and your friends. That's how we find everything, man. If it's not between, the people that we already follow and different designers and different yarn dyers, I don't think we would be knitting. But, so do you want to do some show and tell? You basically showed and tell the whole entire time.
Yeah.
I did not. Oops, my bad.
That's okay, but you can go ahead and...
All right, so, like the Love Witch. So Erica influenced me, and I wanted to do the Love Witch too. But I'm doing mine. Okay, so what came first, the pattern or the yarn? In this case, the yarn, because I originally was going to get this to knit a completely different sweater. And then I had enough to knit
The love.
the Love Witch. So now this is going to be the Love Witch and not the other pattern that I had in mind. Just because, like, I thought it would be so nice with that Tweety, and it's like a fun neutral that I could wear with everything.
Yeah.
So there was that.
I've done all of mine.
Oh dang! I'm just here. We're just here.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. Is it
So
okay?
so let's go back.
Okay. Yeah.
Why don't we do like this fun show and tell? What
Okay.
came first, the pattern
Okay.
or the yarn?
Okay.
So and how did you get to that?
Okay. Let's do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So what came first?
So let's do. Go ahead. Grab that.
This.
Yes. So what came first?
What came first?
The yarn or the pattern? Now I will say this. This was influenced
Yes.
by Christy Glass Knits.
Yes.
So she wouldn't have made this if it wasn't for
Christy. Yeah. So what came first? Technically, the yarn.
Yes.
Because I got the Advent, and then I didn't know what to do with minis. But so for this, definitely the yarn came first.
And then the pattern.
And then the pattern. And I'm very happy with this.
This was Junk Yarn
Yes.
and Chelsea Yarns.
Two yarn dyers that I love. We found Chelsea Lux via Christy Glass and the Chelsea Pearls, because we saw a video with them together. What came first, the pattern or the yarn? For this one, 100% had the pattern came first, because I saw a sample of the Issa cowl
At a store.
and then I was like, I want to make one, but in my colors. So
It's going to be so cool.
I'm so excited. I can't wait. What came first, the pattern or the yarn? This hat, this amazing little hat, is all stash yarn. So the yarn came first.
I feel like I look like you in the photo.
Yeah. The yarn came first and then the pattern came second, but I definitely, as soon as I saw it, I definitely knew that I wanted to make it. I love it.
I love it too. I like this color better.
I'm like, what came first, the pattern or the yarn? Definitely the yarn for this one. I got
a big old kahuna.
I got a kahuna and I had no idea what I was going to make with it. But I think I'm actually going to make the material girl. So definitely this came first and definitely the pattern came second. But I can't wait. This one.
What came first, the pattern or the yarn?
Ooh. What came first?
I know.
Take your guesses now. Okay.
Can I say it?
Yes.
The pattern came first.
100% the pattern came first.
So I originally knit mine,
Mm-hmm.
and then Jessica was like, I have to make it myself.
Yes.
So we then went and searched.
For this one, I definitely let the yarn come to me, and I wasn't trying to force it, because nothing is worse than trying to force a color palette on a pattern.
Yeah.
I can tell you that straight up right now, because you're just not going to be happy with it. It doesn't matter if you're like trying to compromise, like it needs to work out. And sometimes, so I knitted.
No, bring it back.
Oh. What?
We're going to talk about the yarn.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. So
the pattern came first and the yarn came second, but Junk Yarn Astronaut Barbie.
yes.
Stitch Together Studios.
Crowded Cloud.
Chelsea Yarns. Pink Confetti.
Yep.
And then Farmer's Daughter Fibers and Patsy.
Yes. And I was trying to make it happen, and I got a different yarn, and when I put them all together, it just didn't work. So sometimes you just gotta like let it chill and have the right thing come to you. And sometimes you buy a yarn thinking you're gonna make, a Jessie May bralette, and you cast it on. 5 times and you have ribbing and for some reason it doesn't want to work, so you rip it all out and then you have to find a different pattern and then it works. So sometimes it's just those things that just happen. Oh, and then this one,
last one,
guys. What came first, the pattern or the yarn? Honestly, I think the pattern, because I was spinning for it actually. So this is a kaleidoscope, and I was definitely heavily influenced by Amy and Vanessa Van Ray Knits and Erica's, obviously, because hers is amazing.
Thank
you.
you.
If you haven't seen it, you should.
Thank you. Dang. I'm sorry. If I didn't knit the pattern first, the pattern would not exist in our house.
You're right. I take it back. Erica's the one that influenced me. OMG. No, but I mean, honestly, Erica really did influence me to want to make one. But me being me, I had to one-up her, and I had to spin all of my yarn. And then when I finally had enough, Amy and Van Ray Knits, Vanessa, were on a Instagram live talking about all of the different kaleidoscopes they made, and I was like, that's it. It's time to cast it on. So really, it was a group effort. And I just love it. It makes me so happy. So yeah. So what projects are you working on?
How did you find your projects?
How did you find your projects? Did the pattern come first or did the yarn?
I say yarn.
I say pattern. I honestly think sometimes patterns are easier to find yarn for, 100%.
But sometimes
you find that skein that you just gotta love.
And you gotta get it.
That's so true too.
I will say this. I know we've kind of jumped all over the place here at the end.
Yeah.
But to get different yarns, yarn clubs.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that because I'm just looking over at my stash, and if you have all of these yarn clubs, what are you going to do with them?
Yeah, that's true.
That's how you go back in and find those patterns.
That is true.
That yarn came first.
Yes, that's true, 100%.
Sometimes you find the pattern that you absolutely love.
Mm-hmm.
I was influenced to do the Frida.
Yeah.
Again, pattern first, yarn second.
Yeah.
Just happens.
It is just happens. But I hope you really liked our tips and tricks. I know we're a little wordy. I hope it's coherent and makes sense for you guys. If you have any questions, drop them below.
If you have any tips of your own,
yes.
let us know.
Yes, because we always love to learn new things.
Yes.
Especially like today, I didn't know that thing about Ravelry because I don't really use it all that often.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really cool.
Right?
It really was. I'm like, because
I will say this. At the end of this video, after we've said Ravelry, a lot of these designers have their own pattern stores. So if you cannot download on Ravelry, they have their own platform.
Mm-hmm. That is very true as well.
So you don't worry if you see something on Instagram that you love. A lot of the times they have their own web stores.
100%.
All right. And with that,
we'll catch you next time.
Same nitty time,
same nitty channel.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.